All right, so if you are preparing to launch your vibe-coded app, you need to be aware of this one security vulnerability that I'm actually seeing in a lot of launched products out there. And it has to do with your row-level security policies. And if you don't have it set up correctly, you could risk a data breach. Here's the deal. Taking advantage of this specific vulnerability is actually really easy. All an attacker needs to do is to open up the browser console, type in about 5 lines of code, and suddenly they're looking at other people's data in your product. Profiles, messages, payment info, everything. But no worries, because today I will show you exactly how this happens. We are going to actually hack one of the products that we built in a previous video with a real malicious script. And then I'll show you how to fix it. By the end of this video, you will know how to spot this vulnerability in your own product and lock it down before someone else exploits it. And the best part is that this fix takes about 2 minutes. But if you skip it, you're one curious user away from a data breach that could very well tank your entire product. Let's get started. All right, so here is what we will be covering. First, we will break down what row-level security actually is and why it's the difference between a secure app and a data leak waiting to happen. Second, I will show you an actual working app with this vulnerability so you can actually see what's exposed. And third, we're going to actually run a real malicious script on that app with the vulnerability, and you'll see how it can pull data it should not have access to. That is the scary part. And fourth, we'll show you how to fix it. I'll show you how to enable RLS, how to write the policies, and prove that the vulnerability is gone. Sound good? Let's dive in. And if you don't know me, my name is Sunny, and I'm a serial founder now on my 4th startup. I'm also a former senior engineer at Bloomberg and Shopify, and currently an adjunct professor at Columbia Business School, where I teach tech. Listen, I've been building software for over 15 years, and I've made all of the mistakes so you don't have to. And I'm doing this video and all my videos to help people like you bring your idea out into the world and get your app production ready. Let's get started. Now, let's start here. What even is row-level security? So here's the super simple version. Row-level security, RLS for short, means that your database is enforcing who can see your data, not your actual application. So think about it like this. Without RLS, your database is like a library where anyone can walk in and pretty much grab any book off the shelf. Sure, your app might have a members-only sign at the door, but if someone walks around that sign, then they got access to everything. So with RLS, the database itself becomes that security. It will check your ID at every single row. Are you allowed to read this? Are you allowed to write that? And if you're not, you get nothing. Now, here's how it actually works with Supabase. So when you enable RLS on a table, the database will ask, who is this? Every single time. And then it enforces rules called policies. These policies say things like, you can only see rows that belong to you, of course. So even if someone bypasses your UI, even if they craft a malicious request directly to the database will say, nope, I'm not showing you that. Now, here's what most people get wrong. They think security is just about locking down the UI. It's not. Your UI is just a suggestion. Anyone with DevTools and a ChatGPT subscription can bypass it in seconds. Real security happens in the backend, particularly at the database level. If your database isn't enforcing access rules, your app isn't secure, no matter how great your front end looks. So why does this actually matter? Let's talk about what happens if we skip this step all together. So depending on the nature of your product, the following things could be exposed. So firstly, user profiles. That includes things like names, emails, phone numbers. Private messages, things like DMs, conversations, anything marked private. Payment data, that includes invoices, transaction history, and of course user-generated content, things like drafts, prompts, uploaded files. So if someone can access this data, and if you actually have a leak, here's what this could actually result in. So firstly, you could see a huge collapse in trust in your product. Once users find out their data is leaked, they're gone, they're not coming back, and they're definitely telling everyone not to use your product. Also, you could expose yourself to legal risks. Depending on where you operate, data breaches could mean fines, lawsuits, regulatory nightmares. And ultimately, your entire launch could completely die. You know, you spend months building, you finally ship something, and within 24 hours, someone finds a vulnerability and posts it online, and it's game over. Listen, preparing for the possibility of hackers attacking your product is not paranoia, it's reality. The fact is, we are in very dynamic, high velocity times in terms of new products being launched. And it is precisely during these conditions where cyber attacks and data breaches ramp up. And unfortunately, most early stage product builders think, my product is too small to be a target. But it's exactly the smaller products that tend to get attacked because of this very assumption. Right, so now that I've made my case, let's walk through a real example. So here is a product that we built in one of the earlier videos. This is a astrology app for modern professionals. This is a landing page. It has authentication all set up. It has sign up, sign in. It also has a Supabase backend. You can see the table information here. This is your profiles of all the different users in this product. So this all looks secure. Doesn't seem to be anything sinister going on here. But let's actually walk through the hack in action. So here is a script I literally just generated from ChatGPT. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to run this script in my UI. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to open up my browser console here. So this is my browser console. Now, what does that mean? So let's talk about what the browser console actually is. So if you're not familiar, the console is basically a built-in tool, basically available to us in every single browser, Chrome, Safari, etc. And all you need to do is just right-click and hit inspect, and boom, there it is. Everyone has access to it. And it's really just designed for developers to test code, to debug issues. But here's what makes it scary. It's not locked away behind some special access. Anybody can use it. Anybody can open it, and anyone can open it on any product that's available. They don't need any special skills. They don't even need to be a hacker. They just need to know it exists. And this could be a vulnerability for malicious scripts to be put in there. All right, so here is a script I prepared actually with ChatGPT. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this script and run it in my browser console right here in my application. And if you don't know what a browser console is, no worries. All it is it's a built-in tool that's pretty much available to us in every browser that you use, Chrome, Safari, etc. And all you need to do to access it is right-click and click inspect, and boom, you are there. And it's really designed for developers to test code and debug issues, but here's what makes it scary. It's not locked away behind some special access. Anybody can use this. Anybody can open it. You don't need special skills. And it could very well be a point of vulnerability with your product. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this snippet of code that I generated from ChatGPT. And what this code is doing is it is directly connecting to your Supabase instance and trying to read the profiles table. We mentioned that our profiles table has all kinds of information, names, location, etc. So that is not information that we would like to expose to the general public. Generally speaking, every Supabase instance has this profiles table. So if I throw this into my console and if I get back all of the information, that is a big red flag. But before I actually can connect with this particular Supabase instance, I need two pieces of information. I need the Supabase URL and the Supabase anon key. And the fact is that these are keys. They're not actual secret keys that are tucked away. These are keys that are available for the public because these are public keys. So if I want to see what these two credential items are, I just need to open up the JavaScript file that is within this specific UI. And that, again, is available on the internet because this UI needs to be able to read that file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and try to locate those two keys. So if I open up, let's actually take a look. So if I open up this JavaScript file, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the link address, and then I'm going to open it up in here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to look for those keys. And you see here, this is probably going to be the Supabase URL. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste that here. And then most likely the anon key is probably right after, and that's probably what this is here. So now I have my keys. And the point of this is not for me to be training you on how to become a hacker. The point of this is for you to understand how a hacker might work. It's very, very important to get into the mind of a hacker to protect against some of their dealings. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy this snippet, and I'm going to go back to my UI, go to the console, and I'm going to paste this here. And bam, you see here that I have access to all of the information in this database. And this is a problem. This is a huge problem that we absolutely need to fix ASAP. Otherwise, we risk having a tremendous data breach on our product, and our product is dead on arrival. And just to be clear, this isn't some sophisticated exploit. This is just a normal database query that I ran. This is all publicly available information. So we definitely need to fix this. And I'm showing you all of this to kind of expose the sad truth here. Being able to take advantage of an AI-generated app's poor RLS policies on Supabase is a vulnerability that, while most builders don't know exists, many hackers do. You think, well, my UI doesn't show other people's data, so we're good. But the fact is, your UI doesn't matter when it comes to security. The database is the source of truth. And if it's not locked down, anybody can go around your UI. If you're not using the proper RLS, you don't have security, you just have a facade. Okay. Enough with the drama. Let's actually try to fix this thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Supabase. I'm going to go to my tables. So what's great is Supabase is already kind of alerting us to the vulnerability here. So at least we have that comfort knowing that Supabase is telling us, okay, we have to protect this. This particular table is unrestricted. Anyone can access it. And saying that right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click these three dots here, and I'm going to view the policies on this. So right now, RLS is disabled. So the way that we're going to fix the vulnerability is in two steps. First, we are going to enable RLS. And then also, now that we have it enabled, we have to create a policy. The policy that we're going to create is this. We want a user to be able to view their own data, of course. So if I am logged in as me, I should have access to only the row on the profiles table that belongs to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this, and then I have to change this to ID because the main user ID on the profiles table is the ID column. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And now we have that in place. Now let's actually test the fix. So if I go back, and let me go back and copy my malicious script and paste this here. And look at that. We no longer have access to the entire table. That is fantastic. This is RLS working. Here is the beautiful thing about RLS. It's not a band-aid. It's actually structural security. You're not hoping that your app code will catch every edge case. You're telling your database to enforce this rule, always, no exceptions. And that's how you can sleep at night, knowing that you've implemented this very, very important security protocol. Right, that is a wrap. Here is what we just covered in this video. Firstly, RLS is how you make your database enforce access rules. Without it, anybody with your client key can query your tables directly. We saw this vulnerability live, and we saw it with a very simple script I generated from ChatGPT where I was able to pull everyone's data. We then fixed it, of course, by implementing a read policy and tested it again and saw that we no longer had access to everyone's data. So here's what I want you to take away from this. Security isn't just about building walls around your UI. It's also about making sure the database itself won't cooperate with unauthorized requests. So if you're building with Supabase, RLS is not optional. It's actually table stakes. Every table that stores user data needs it. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to open up your Supabase dashboard right now and check every single table. If RLS is turned off and the table has user data, turn it back on, write the policies, and test them. And here's the bigger lesson. You can still move fast and still be secure. The fix that we just did took 2 minutes, but skipping it, that's how launches turn into disasters. If you stuck around till the end of this video, I appreciate you, and I will see you on the next video.